Commissioner Larry Turner. I will now ask Commissioner Larry Turner to lead us in a word of prayer.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this day and all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We ask you to bless this meeting, each person that participates in things done and said, that it would be for the good of the students and the people of this state that we represent and work for. We ask you to be with us and bless us in this effort. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Will everyone please stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Purcell, please call the roll.
Brenda Bolden,
Here.
Amy Price, Charles Bunton,
Here.
Ann Forbes,
Here.
Jody Singleton,
Here.
Timothy Guyer, Paul Kennedy,
Here.
Larry Turner,
Here.
Stan Nelson,
Here.
Rod Scott, Shane Spiller,
Present.
and Terry Welch here. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Also, I'd like to welcome our two new commissioners, Mr. Terry Welch and Mr. Shane Spiller, to the commission. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Sure, I'll go first. Shane Spiller, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and a graduate of University of Alabama in '95. Was the mascot, Big Al, for a couple of years there at Alabama. So had a great time doing that. But have a family business, furniture business with third generation, with 13 locations in and around West Alabama and East Mississippi.
Thank you. Welcome.
Terry Welch, not a native Alabama, came back to Alabama to live and retire in, about 2.5 years ago. But lived here for about five and a half years before. Graduated from Lamar University out of, Texas with engineering degrees. It's in the oil and gas business for 40 years, retired out of it. Now, in Decatur, Alabama, with my wife owning a, small business there and working in the, construction industry.
Thank you. Welcome. Everyone should have had time to review the agenda. Chair entertains a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? The agenda is approved. Everyone should have had time to review the Finance Subcommittee meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Chair entertains a motion to approve the December 8th, 2023 Finance Subcommittee meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. And all opposed, like sign. The Finance Subcommittee meeting minutes are approved. Everyone should have had time to review the regular meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Chair entertains a motion to approve the minutes of the December 8th, 2023 meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The minutes are approved. I'd like to now welcome all of our guests and acknowledge any presidents in the room if they're present. Are there any presidents in the room? Okay. Now I will turn it over to Dr. Purcell for the Executive Director's report.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. The FAFSA, everybody is excited about people filling out the FAFSA. Well, as you know, it's been rather difficult this year because the federal government has really messed up royally the change. We don't even know who filled it out and how many have. And as you know, we've been trying to improve that rate in Alabama. We will know probably by the middle of next week how many high school seniors have filled out the FAFSA, and then we can start working with full diligence to help them do that. We've actually tried to expand who can help us do this, and we reached out to the Alabama Public Library staff and actually had a training for them on how to help people coming into libraries how to go to the website and, fill out things and gave them some information flyers as you see there. So, it'll be interesting just to see whether we're making as much progress as we had over the last 2 years with, working with our partners at the community college system and the 2-year, group and, the Alabama K-12 folks. We had a great conference, Artificial Intelligence in Alabama Higher Education, held at UAH. Fun was had by all. We had experts from all over the world, or at least the country. I didn't think we let in too many people from other countries for this one. It was all top secret, but it was great. The speaker actually was from Michigan. I will say that he was showing off the fact that he went to the Alabama-Michigan game, and he went to the national championship game, and he had a big lapel on this thing that said Michigan, the shape of a gold football. I told him that was kind of tacky, but, you know, especially since we're all in mourning for the fact that our great coach is retired. So, but it was good. He really had a good personality that allowed to really share how artificial intelligence works and really kicked off the meeting well. One of our stars was the Madam Chair herself. She was facilitated a conversation between all the smart folks there. Of course, she does this for a living. And so I could really tell during the meeting that she was in her realm and did a great job. And then here is how big the room was with tons of people there. I'm speaking, I got to speak for 3 minutes and they said, okay, let's get the real people back down. So I went back and sat in my little corner. We actually built this artificial intelligence conference based on what ChatGPT said. We said, we want to do a conference on higher ed about artificial intelligence, suggest an agenda. And it set out, here's the agenda. And it said, bring people in research, the tech industry, all these kind of people, be sure there's support services, managing ethics, all kind of things, those steps. And then, of course, that was all nice because it identified all the people that we should have at these things. But it did require us manually to do the work of actually finding the right people that met the definition that artificial intelligence said we should have. And Robin did all the hard human work and really did a great job. So, you know, a shout out to her for a job well done. It's got so much energy now that folks think that we don't need to wait a year because artificial intelligence has changed so much even in the last 6 months. So we're working now to actually have another one of these meetings in the fall to really get more people engaged in how we do this and how higher ed supports business industry going into this and how we ourselves change our processes and stuff in doing that. Well, this is a legislative update season, and normally you would have Margaret Gunter, but Margaret retired as of March 1st, which was last Friday. So after 25 years, she did our work as communications and governmental relations. Did a great job, came with us with a great background, so she sort of knew who to talk to and all the people before. Behind the scenes, very active in making sure that a lot of our legislative stuff happened. Most of you went through the confirmation process, know that that isn't actually automatic. You sort of have to go through the gauntlet. And, you know, those of you that have skeletons in your closet, new people, Margaret used to be able to smooth those out. Not that you guys do, but she did a great job of really working and understanding that process. So we're really proud that she gave us those many years and has now moved on to do some other things. This is an example. As you can see, this is us signing a bill when I first got here, and she did all the work on this particular bill to sort of, you know, took a step behind, allowing all the political and myself take credit for the event at a bill signing. And this is sort of was her career for a long period of time. So a great career indeed. So I'm going to try to tell you about it. And as you know, Margaret was a great presenter. But House Bill 145 is our funding for higher education trust fund. As you know, for the new board members, we have hearings for the campuses and the systems to tell us really what their needs are. We did that in November. We put together a budget recommendation based on the subcommittee of finance for the board here and brought that forward in December. And then we had to go and defend our recommendations, to tell the House and Senate leaders in the Education Trust Fund why we needed that money, whatever. And then, of course, 2 days later, the governor comes and has her recommendation. So, that was different in the fact that, there was not a lot of the stuff that we asked for that ended up in the governor's budget. And we'll have to, really work hard to make sure we get some of the things that, we requested, and we'll talk about that in a second. But right now, the process is still early, so we can have success working at it. The House Education Trust Fund, budget will come next. And, you know, the key is that the governor nor I actually get to bring forward legislation. We can only advocate. And then really the House takes that recommendation and they bring forward a budget. And then the Senate squabbles over that. And then hopefully there's a conference committee and we can, try to get changes even done there. So, you know, we had talked about at our board meeting that we had several buckets of money, and what had happened over the last few years, there was so much money, and there was money in the future year's budget, and there was money in last year's money left over because everybody's spending COVID money like crazy, and we're making tax revenue for no reason at all. And so what they did is just to make it easier, they put a lot of our money in supplemental, which is one-time money that's left over from the previous year. And we advocated real hard to get it put on the right side or the ongoing expense side, which is called the ETF. And you can sort of see that they didn't put anything in supplemental, because I didn't ask for anything in supplemental, because I wanted everything on the ETF side. And we did get, the National Guard shortage that we've been having for a few years, their scholarship program, fully funded as we requested. And they did put $5 million for some deferred maintenance, for the Silver Back colleges, back into the fund, but everything else is still out there. And that means us doing, hand-on-hand combat with the legislators, having conversations about what's important to them and what matters. The big one for us is actually, let me see what we have here. I'm gonna go back here. The big one for us is this, re-engaged scholarship, the 4.5 million. There is a scholarship program that was started last year. It took us 6 months to get through all the approval of the rules. We started the program this January and there was no money for the second year in the budget. And to me, that's important for us. The legislation's out there, the campuses have been working hard to identify adults who want to come back and go to college and get degrees in high demand, high wage programs for the state funded to finish out their degree. And we have the money, we've got it earmarked for the people that currently have the award, but there is no money moving forward unless we get that appropriation. So there is some work for us to do, and to do it for all the right reasons. The supplemental appropriation, which I mentioned, we had 35 million in it last year. It's a much smaller appropriation this year as the legislature's trying to sandbag some money and just be more careful with it, as we're not sure how the economy is going to be moving forward after the sort of the big bubble of COVID money dissipates. House Bill 146 provides raises for government employees, including AIC. So everybody gets a cost of living increase by 2%. So we'll be a part of that, and everybody in the staff that is employees, say amen. Now, I will say that the universities don't have that necessarily requirement, so they just look over their shoulder at the government workers and they think, oh, the state government people have a better deal. And it's different times because they have more, more benefits, they get tickets, discounts, they get other things. So it's not all beautiful on this side, but it's pretty good. The gaming bill just went through the whole gauntlet last night. So a lot of things, there's money for dual enrollment and some scholarships for 2-year folks in helping them address some workforce needs. Then there's the money for research for the universities. And then there's the what they call the advancement for technology appropriation, which is money that can be used to help with technology, but now it's been expanded, allow them to use for deferred maintenance. So there was 191 million for that, and it's split to everyone on a formula. In this particular formula, it's calculated on basically the number of instinct students are actually actually on campus, not the out-of-state students and not necessarily the distance learning students. So it's a slightly different formula than a lot of formulas are done. The diversity, equity, inclusion bill, there was a lot of interest, lots of people visiting the campus last week and had opinions in all kind of different ways. It was like real government kind of stuff, governance by all the people and for the people and everybody clamoring for TV, and stuff. So anyway, it passed with not a whole lot of change. It is probably not as, hardcore developed as it was last year, the version that did not pass. So this one actually is, better. It still does, eliminate, the instruction device concepts, based on, race, class, sexuality, national origin. So you may want to look at the bill and see what happens, but it will pass. It'll go to the governor in the next week or two. Distressed institutions, last year, Birmingham Southern came and wanted to have, some money to be given to them for helping them. And then they changed it to a distressed institution fund to which they can apply. Both, Birmingham Southern and, Selma University applied for money last year. Neither of them met the criteria, based on the rules that were in legislation and dutifully determined by the treasurer. So what happened this year is they changed the legislation and did two things. One was they sort of softened the regulations that enabled institutions that were in financial distress to qualify. And then instead of the treasurer making that decision or administering it, me would be the person to administer the bill. Now, there is no latitude in this bill. It said in the previous one, it said the treasurer could award funds. This one says, the executive director shall give funds. So I'm more of an administrative person. And then, we do actually have to monitor their funds, and then they send the loan payments back, at which we keep this fund going. So the theory is we prop up an institution, they become successful, they pay that back, and then there's a corpus of funds that can be used as institutions have difficulty and support. So that's how it is. It passed the Senate now it goes to the House. And then the key is that once it's passed, once it's signed by the governor, and once these institutions submit their application, AIC only has 30 days to make a decision to make a payment. So it's a very quick process, and we're studying up to try to do that with Fidelity. There's a scholarship award fund for medical folks trying to be created. It'll be in the Treasury. So this is sort of the bill that is set up to do it, and then there'd have to be an appropriation in addition to that. So it's basically passed the Senate, has come out of the House and Ways Subcommittee and is waiting for the House to make their thoughts on it. And then kind of an interesting thing, the state personnel job classification, they want to have everybody review their jobs and take off any requirements for like a bachelor's degree or something that probably is not necessary. And, there's been a lot of people in higher ed saying, well, why are they doing this? And in some ways I can see opening it up for if the job doesn't require it. But the other one is a lot of times in government, what you're actually hiring is someone for a job that's on down the line. So that first job is eventually going to need to have a person with a bachelor's to do another job that's out there. And this is sort of a job that's training you for another opportunity later. So eventually that person may end up having to get a bachelor's anyway. So it is an interesting approach. There is legislation out there for the community college system to have a career roadmap program in the high school. I did get calls yesterday from folks that are in K-12 that aren't happy with that. So this is not a guarantee yet. It has been assigned to the Senate Education Committee, and so there'll be discussions about who should actually be in charge of K-12 content, how much the community college should be involved and things like that. So that'll be interesting to watch. There's a legislation that would allow young people who are in our high schools who are illegal aliens or undocumented workers. It depends on which state I am. How am I supposed to say this? When I was in Rhode Island, we had you know, they would say it differently. What this will do is if they're actually been engaged in our community, that we allow the young people to attend our post-secondary institutions. Right now, they're restricted and not able to attend. So it's been assigned to the House Education Policy Committee. Terry Collins, who's the chair of that committee, is a Republican, and is, helping sponsor that legislation. So it has a shot. So we'll see how that goes. Education benefits, pension of benefits. So anyway, that really is just designed to expand, the type of offerings and stuff that we provide for the veterans. There has been discussion about even further expansion of this, but what this does is allow people to go to graduate school under that program. And then this is actually for K through 12, it's a closed browser remote testing thing. And so what that means is when you take a test, do y'all know this? Do y'all do this with your students? It's designed to make sure that we can actually administer a standardized test and make sure they're not cheating. So the computer is going to look at your eyeballs to make sure you're not looking on your cell phone or looking up another browser or something. And then, so you're taking the test fairly and honestly on the one page that they allow you to see. So it's going to authorize the use of this. But the good news for us in higher ed is we're exempt from that bill. I just want to let you know that as of today, you're exempt. So we can let our students open up a browser, look on their cell phone and answer the questions. Now, without any supervision or guidance, but you could do it if you wanted, but just saying. There's a fund that actually been happening, I think, since 2020, to provide some funds for Tuskegee University for their matching requirements with the U.S. Department of Education. So there's a federal funding formula that says that you want to do land grant university type things, the state has to match, and we unfunded Tuskegee University prior, and this is sort of just making sure that they get funded. So this is legislation to sort of give us a timeline to when we have paid up. And Madam Chair, those are all my comments.
Thank you. Very good update. We'll now entertain a motion to approve the resolution in recognition of Margaret Gunter's 25 years of service to the commission.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Dr. Purcell. Dr. Purcell, could you touch on the choice bill that just got passed? I know this is a little bit out of our wheelhouse, but it does, I'm hoping it's going to give kids an opportunity that they wouldn't normally have, that would lead on to higher education, of course.
Yeah, so the choice bill is really a K-12 thing that allows people to choose to go to a private institution. You know, the proponents say this gives the families an opportunity to help guide their children's education in a different way. So I believe the number still at $7,000. It will be assigned to a person and they can use that money to go to a private school if they don't want to attend their other school. For those that are homeschooling, I think it's down to $2,000, which helps subsidize them going to private schools. A lot of times the homeschool people will only go for a couple courses. You know, something that perhaps the parent doesn't know trigonometry right off or physics or something, so they'll take a course here and there. So there are some allocations for that. And that is the hope, is that it will actually allow people to have a better access to education. So we do have some communities that are, you know, have better schools than others. So, you know, I can certainly understand that. But then, of course, the public K-12 group says, you know, you're taking money away from a problem that we're trying to fix. And it will have that impact. It will take money from the school district, because that person will no longer be at the school district. Their 7,000 will go there, and then they'll have less money to spread at the school. So it really depends on what side of the fence you are on that. It was an emotional issue. It wasn't as emotional as DEI, but it was pretty close. So you can see a lot of people there. For me, I have hopes for that, and I mean, I feel for the parents. I was in Rhode Island, which is all free, open public schools, and we had a board member who went to confirmation, and the guy says, well, you don't even send your kids to a public school. Well, you know, how can you be over K-12 and higher ed in Rhode Island when you don't do it? And he said, you know, all of us who are parents are responsible for our kids first. And I had to make a choice based on what I felt my future of my child was. And he said it was a hard decision. I would have loved to have remained my child in a public school, but I couldn't. I couldn't in good conscience as a parent do that. So I understand where people are coming with that, but it is a double-edged sword that we have to keep in mind that, one of the great promises of this country was public education. Alabama's Constitution guarantees, that they provide, free general education. And before it was K through 6, and then we moved up to K through 9, and then we covered K through 12. So we do fund that, and that's in our Constitution, so we do provide that. But it hasn't been perfect in this state in a lot of places, so that's my comment on that. I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Are there household income limits? And when is it effective? This fall or?
Yeah, I think there may be, is it the 300%? Yes, I think it's 300% above the poverty limit,
Okay.
so it's about 98,000. So there is a metric there. And like I said, when they change things in legislation, I only read the bill once and then read it, 6 months later when I have to do something with it, so after it's passed. So that's how it started.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anybody else know anything about it in the audience?
Thank you.
Yes, a comment?
Yeah, so just to kind of touch on that as well, a lot of the concern is ethical disbursement of the money as well. So one thing that we actually discussed was the fact that this would go through a third-party aggregate. So the money's not going directly to that family. So it would be utilized, they'd be approved, they would choose whatever they're doing, private institution, homeschool, that money would then be sent to a third-party vendor to their institution of choice, homeschool, something like that, because that did come up in questions earlier about that.
Does this start effective this fall?
I think they are starting to try to run it in 2024. I think 2025 is the target date.
Okay,
though.
gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I think it was certain groups could do 2024 and then 2025 would be the full launch. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, Chair entertains a motion to approve the resolution in recognition of Margaret Gunter, 25 years of service to the commission.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The resolution is approved. We'll now move into our discussion item. Our first discussion item will be presented by Dr. Jim Hood, an update on the Student Horizon database.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So it's my pleasure to be with you this morning to discuss the Student Horizon database. Slide it over with it. So this legislation was passed last year and it requires the AIC to develop an interactive data portal or a tool to help students and parents make more informed decisions about their education and professional future. This legislation also named, not only did the legislation create the portal, but it named it as the Student Horizon database. And we've been calling it Horizon during our development of the site. And one of our initial steps was developing a logo of the site. And when we built the logo, we turned to ChatGPT. And so the Horizon logo you see was created by AI based on some of our criteria at the beginning. So this is just a great example of how these are already integrating AI into its work. But this is an initial landing page of the site. I know some of the text may be small here, but what we'll have is an actual link to the legislation. So if parents and students want to see the legislation, they'll have access to that. And then below that, we have different links to institutional data and military information. You can see that we've got links to universities, not only the public universities and community colleges, but private institutions and armed forces data as well. This is an initial landing page for the two-year institutions. The universities and private institutions will have very similar pages with the same sections. And you can see that these 6 major sections here of the portal, most of these metrics were outlined in legislation. So the legislation kind of created a pathway for us to develop these metrics. And as we go through a few of these sections, I want to mention that this site was developed internally by our AIC staff. You'll know that our staff, we have about 30 to 35 full-time staff. And they do a lot of work, and a lot of those staff members are here with us today. So thank you for all you do on behalf of the agency. But this site was developed using federal IPEDS data, so there was no additional reporting burden for the institutions. We're getting all this from the federal folks. And I also want to mention that this site was intentionally designed to be simple and basic, just for public consumption. So it's not, we hope it's not anything that's too complicated. But this page here looks at what the admissions link would look like, or the admissions page. And as admission, this information comes directly from the federal IPEDS site. And you can see that we've got the admissions tab up there at the top, just so users can kind of see where they're at. This particular page shows the percentage of students admitted, the percentage of students enrolled, and along with in-state and out-of-state tuition costs. So this is our, this example is for University of Alabama Huntsville, but if a user clicked on any of those logos, it would pull that data for that specific institution. This page looks at the same information from a college cost perspective. Users have the option here to select in-state tuition or out-of-state tuition. In this example here, so in-state, out-of-state tuition. And then again, users can select any of these logos to make direct comparisons between these institutions. So what does that direct comparison between the, or among the institutions look like? And in this case, in this example, if a user wanted to select tuition, and then the student or parent wanted to select A&M, that information would pop up. And then UAM or AUM in Montgomery, that information would pop up. And then if they wanted to choose West Alabama, that information would pop up. So what the parent or student sees here is the tuition for those three institutions, along with the state average for tuition and fees. This slide looks at, again, this slide here is also within the college cost section. This deals with financial aid. And we feel like this slide is important because many parents and students seem to have this preconceived idea that either they don't qualify for financial aid or there's not enough financial aid to go around. But this chart certainly tells a different story. In this example, our public universities, about on average, or in many cases, about 9 in 10 students walk around on that campus are receiving some type of financial aid. So we hope that this tells a story that financial aid is available. This slide looks at net price. This particular slide looks for the community colleges. You can see there are a few more logos here to choose from. And what I haven't mentioned is that with the net price, some parents or students may not know what net price means. And so we've implemented a facts page with some definitions that show what these different terms mean. So in this case, what is the net price? We have a definition there for that. So, any questions about that part? This slide looks just enrollment by full-time and part-time status. I'm just going to go through some of these just so you'll see what the pages look like. This looks at full-time and part-time status, 1-year retention rates for the community colleges. This is a busier slide because we have obviously 24 community colleges, but users can slice and dice this how they want to. And then this looks at 4-year and 6-year graduation rates with universities. This slide looks at the wage section. Part of the legislation included a wage information. So what we did is we took the actual degree data from our degree database and matched it with the Alabama Department of Labor database. And so we've got a series of visualizations on this wage information. So in this case, we're looking at average wage by degree level. And you can see that in this particular case, we're choosing 2015. And I know it's hard to see, but that box at the lower left there is 5 years after graduation. So these students would, these are average salaries for the 2015 graduates 5 years after graduation. And we're going to look at baccalaureate degrees. And you can see, let me go back here. And I know it's hard to see here, but Dr. Meadows, are you here? I want to point out that 4 of the top 5 average incomes are in the STEM field. So, which is important to look at. This is the same information, but it looks at workforce retention. We're selecting the same variables here. 2015 graduates for 5 years at the baccalaureate level. and this looks at the retention rates for those students. So unfortunately, engineering is one of our higher RA degrees, but as this table shows, we lose about half of those graduates after 5 years in our workforce. This section looks at the military information that we talked about, the armed forces section earlier. This was also outlined in legislation. You can see this slide has military pay rates for the various armed forces services, and then these links here at the bottom take parents and students directly to those sites. This is kind of where we are now. We've finalized our data metrics and definitions, and we're working on updating our metrics with the latest IPEDS data. As you can imagine, that data kind of rolls around from year to year, so we're making sure we've got the latest IPEDS data. Once we get that, we're going to release it to the institutions for their review and verification. Make sure we're all on the same page there, and then our goal is by the end of the month make it available to the public. Madam Chair, that concludes my remarks. I'm glad to take any questions.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, impressive. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. The next discussion item will be presented by Dr. Lee Meadows, Executive Director of the Alabama STEM Council, and Mr. Lawrence Cooper, STEM Program Manager.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to let Lawrence do most of the talking, but Jim, thank you for that. STEM jobs in Alabama. Where's Alabama going to get its next workforce in STEM? Huge issue, which business industries are talking with us about. Well, they come from our STEM education system, of course. But one of our biggest problems is a shortage of STEM teachers. We are so excited to be here to tell you an update on UTeach Alabama. Alabama is positioned now as one of the leaders in the nation for solving the problem with our STEM teacher shortage. And we could not be doing this without AIG's partnership and support. So we are here basically to tell you good news. I'm going to turn it over to Lawrence.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So we'll just jump straight to where are we now with UTeach Alabama, talk a little bit about where we started and then where we are now. So UTeach Alabama, we are now 7 sites running the UTeach STEM teacher preparation model across the state of. So we're at Alabama A&M with AAM UTeach, Athens State, Auburn University Montgomery, the University of South Alabama, University of West Alabama, and our model program, kind of our flagship program, is the UAB Teach program at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. So we kind of got here really starting back in 2019 when the governors put out the Alabama Roadmap for STEM Success. And a big part of that was about STEM education and preparing students, and to prepare our students, we got to prepare our teachers for STEM workforce and STEM jobs for the future. And a concentration of that was on pre-service STEM teacher preparations. And we had the kind of the track record of UAB Teach because it's a mature UTeach model program under kind of Dr. Meadows championing and also our STEM Council. We're able to take that to Representative Danny Garrett and Senator Arthur Orr, and to really show that UTeach model, it works. It works for UAB. It also works at 53 other institutions across the country. So what the UTeach model allows is for a student with a STEM major, biology, chemistry, engineering, they get that STEM major, but they also graduate with a minor in STEM education and also all of their teaching credentials. So they can come right out of undergrad and be ready to go into the classroom and teach. And that adds no extra time. They don't have to go back for that 5th year under some types of traditional methods. And they have all their credentials, testing, all that happens in that program. So they come out with that secondary STEM teaching as a career path available to them right away. And this all happens really under the support of our governor, and as Lee talked about earlier, the support of AIG and our partner in this, which is the UTeach Institute, and they are really our technical support in structuring the programs at our universities, researching what's working at those different sites, and really helping them move through this process as they plan, develop, and now implementing the UTeach model at our different sites around the state. In June 2022, that's when the RFP went out for our STEM major teacher recruitment initiative. 11 universities across the state responded with letters of intent. 6 turned in full proposals. And then through that proposal review process, they were all high quality. Originally thought, oh, we might be able to fund 4 or 5 of the UTeach programs in Alabama. It was hard to not take all of them. So kind of been able to adjust and look at money and budget, we're able to fund the program at all 6 of the sites. So everyone who applied, because of the quality of what they wanted to do and how they were approaching it, they all were able to get funded. So those notifications went out and their work on planning began in January of 2023. And here are our sites again for our universities. That amount awarded, that is over 5 years, you know, if assuming there's level funding over that grant period. And you'll see that there are a couple of them that are say $3 million. Those are the ones that, because of the volume of students they'd be able to serve, have that higher amount. So that was Auburn University and the University of West Alabama. And here are part of the teams that are making this happen across the state of Alabama. This was actually last summer at the UTeach STEM Educators Conference. All of our sites were represented. So all 7 of the sites had their representation there. Co-directors, some sent deans from their colleges to really learn more about launching their programs and becoming part of the UTeach STEM network. And on the ground, some of that key staff, every site has what we call their co-directors who are really leading the implementation of their UTeach model. So each site has staff. One of the co-directors is from their College of Education. Then one of co-director will be from the College of Arts and Sciences to really have that cross-college collaboration. Because most of the students coming in are coming in from the STEM fields. A lot of the faculty support, pedagogy curriculum is in that College of Education. So this is a way that you're getting that cross-college collaboration, which is key for this to have a successful UTeach site. So the first phase was kind of a planning and implementation phase. This is where all the sites went through planning in order to get their sites ready. And after our site visits, which we had our fall site visits, every site is on track. All of them have met those milestones that were set forth, and they are all really doing great work. And this is kind of what some of those milestones are for that launch period and into first year implementation. So the program support, the site visits, that's actually when UTeach Institute staff, as well as STEM Council, other stakeholders will come into those sites, into those universities and help prepare them. We talked about cross-college collaboration between the colleges of science and the colleges of education. Similarly, their program teams, we have those key staff of the co-directors, but then you actually have to bring in their master teachers who are helping to teach those courses and work with those students. And then you have your recruiters and advisors who are helping bring the students into the program and advise them on their curriculum in their time through the program. Identifying program space, and as we know, space can be at a premium on the campuses of our colleges and universities. So really identifying where these programs can live. Part of the UTeach model shows that if you can create a space and create community, that helps get students not just into the door of the program, but helps to support them on their way through the program. And that image there is actually at the Auburn UTeach kickoff event. You'll see Jim Purcell is there, Robert McGill is there, and other stakeholders involved in launching our UTeach Alabama initiative. So supporting students and recruitment, and all those sites have had recruiting activities throughout the development of their program. This picture is actually turned into an unintentional recruiting event. 2 weeks ago, STEM Council, we had our STEM Day at the Capitol here at the State House, and we actually had brought in some of our UTeach sites. We actually have a high school program called CSOs, Chief Science Officers, and those are everybody in those kind of teal colored shirts. Those high school students started interacting with the UTeach site. We had everybody there to kind of work with legislatures and tell them about the program that they're doing. Kind of an unintended consequence, those UTeach sites are now connecting early with these high school students, and these high school students are already interested in STEM. whether they were starting to plant that seed in a STEM career and how they could do that going through one of the UTeach programs. Our sites are also have design courses and their instructional program and really creating identity on their campuses, that these programs are different from the traditional education program, but they are able to take in students who are STEM majors. When we say the STEM majors, these are students who probably had no intention of becoming a teacher, might not have seen teaching as a potential career, but they get brought into this program in two introductory courses. So as we're looking now with the launch of those introductory courses across our different sites, we have our fall numbers. And kind of one of the shining stars that was Alabama A&M. They actually had the most come in the fall, exploring teaching. That's because they were able to hook into that orientation process. So these were freshmen coming in who got an opportunity to join those first year courses. We also had AUM also had aggressive recruiting as those freshman classes were coming in. So these first 6 are the new UT sites. That does not include UAB as the mature longer term program. But because of the work of our UTeach sites here in the state, there are now 229 students exploring STEM teaching as a career who may not have taken that step and explored teaching in the first place. So that's 229. It was with those 6 new sites. That's just with 2 semesters. That's just the first semester. No higher recruitment that first semester as new students are coming into university, but also second semester recruiting worked out well also. And down here at the bottom, those are actually if we also add in UAB. So UAB is the more mature program. They actually had 163 students, and that's just in the introductory courses. UAB Teach has students at those junior and senior higher level courses. So just in their introductory courses, with the work of the new sites, there are now 392 STEM majors exploring teaching as a career here in the state of Alabama, which is outstanding. And what UTeach kind of has shown is that those who go into teaching generally stay in the area where they taught and where they had their student teaching experience. And with the UTeach model, that starts freshman year. They're freshman year and they're going in and helping do activities, STEM activities in elementary school classrooms. So they're seeing the classroom early. They're not waiting till junior year to become a student teacher and see the classroom. They start seeing the classroom early, and that kind of helps hook them in. They're working with the younger, excited students, and that's kind of a hook that helps sustain them as they go through the program. One thing that we are excited about is the innovative status update. So we actually have gone through the application process, application review, through the educator preparation, through teaching and learning for ALSDE, and went through the working group last month of the ALSDE board meeting. And next week should be the vote that will grant innovative status to all of the UTeach sites. So versus each university having to go through this alone, we have 6 universities who are able to develop a common application, get into the process together, and all go through this as one cohort. So after that vote, which we believe will go well, all of them will have that innovative status, and that will allow for their students to hit certain milestones as they're getting credentialed, going through the credentialing to become teachers. And we also know that that will boost recruitment. If you're saying you can get into this program, if you have innovative status, you're going to have that full teaching credential upon your graduation. And what we're hoping that'll do, we talk about recruitment on our screen here. Those are actually students from the AAM UTeach program at A&M. And they came and presented to us at a STEM council meeting in Huntsville, and they were outstanding. They had the adults, people of STEM. They were teaching us about electricity and other things. You could tell they were new and fresh to teaching, but they were excited. They were willing to share, tell us about themselves, and really what the program meant to them. So some of the things that are upcoming will be fall site visits. Fall site visit reporting, which we'll have that this month. We start our spring site visits next week. I shall be at West Alabama on Tuesday. We have a UTeach conference with all of our sites that will be attending May 21st through 23rd. We'll have a combined report early summer. So that'll take our reporting from fall, spring, put that into one report so we can kind of look at recruiting and progress of our sites all together over that academic year. And then our 6 new sites will be launching their sophomore level courses as well. And just a couple of highlights we'd like to share. talk about A&M with their high enrollment. Athens State is actually working with Calhoun Community College to where they can get students into the UTeach program early. Because with Athens State, those students are transferring up after 2 years at a community colleges. They're saying, can we plant this at a community college? They can get those introductory courses early. So when they get to Athens State, they're already in those higher level programs as part of the UTeach model. Auburn started their semester fully funded and had a program space up and ready to go. AUM had a very impressive recruiting. They have a great recruiter there, and she's just all over the place getting students in. I even got on a Zoom call where they were talking to parents of students who were thinking about to go to AUM, and they had a How AUM Teach Zoom call ready and set up to start getting them heading that way as they were making their college choices. South Alabama, they actually have a way of orienting the mentor teachers. We talk about students going out as soon as their freshman year to work in classes. They actually brought the mentor teachers and those students together ahead of time so they could start kind of building that community before those classroom interactions started to happen. And University of West Alabama is also looking at a unique online Alt-A certification pathway that would include the UTeach model in that pathway. And so our overall goal, you'll see students there, those are actually UAB Teach graduates from 2022, the 2022 year. Once all of our sites are up and running, full capacity, and they're mature programs, every year there'll be 250 new secondary STEM teachers in the state of Alabama, thanks to the implementation of the UTeach model. And that's all thanks to the support of AIC, of our legislator, of our STEM council, and to the people of Alabama is making this a priority. So we thank you for your help with UTeach Alabama. We look forward to coming back with more updates, more good news, and reporting on more STEM graduates and STEM graduates who are becoming teachers to support our future STEM workforce. Thank you.
Yeah, any questions?
Any questions or comments?
I would just say, Dr. Purcell asked me to serve on sort of a little advisory panel for this a year or so ago. And I was very impressed with the reports that were given by the applications of the individual campuses. He asked me to share a few things because of my background in K-12 and higher ed. I made some practical suggestions about a few things in one of them, but I was very impressed with what had been done.
And I think it is tremendous need out across this state. So I salute the group for what they have done.
Absolutely, and I second that as well. So thank you so much. Great.
Thank you so much. Any questions do come to mind, my business partner is at your table. So.
Are there any other schools that are wanting to jump in on this outside the 7 that you already have?
Outside, we have had other schools who are interested. The way the model is now, hopefully down the road, there could be some expansion, but right now we have the 6 new sites and then UAB teachers got some, seeing some support as well.
Gotcha. Love your passion. Thanks for
Love
doing
I
that.
think the big thing is the buy-in by the faculty of the School of Education, you know, they're moving the cheese a little bit. And even in the science department, so everybody as a community has to agree. I've actually had a lot more legislators trying to push their local institution there without the faculty, you know, campuses being fully engaged. And that's one of the criteria is you have to have that sense of this is something that we're gonna do it well. And I think that's why UTeach has been successful across the country.
And as we prepare our next generation of STEM students, we got to figure out how to keep them in Alabama.
That's
Yeah.
I can say something there, and this is from Iowa. Iowa has a STEM council like we do, and they have the data that shows that the more you involve K-12 students, not the teachers, K-12 students in high-quality STEM program, the more those kids are committed to staying in and working in Alabama. They actually have that as part of their research. So there's some hope there. The better we do with STEM, the better we do with STEM learning, the more kids are going to be committed to staying in the state. I'm not sure exactly why that is. I just know that Iowa has that data, and we're trying to do some of the same things here. Also, I led the development of UAB Teach, and I can tell you that UTeach students, they are rock stars and rocket scientists, and they will be part of our emissaries for keeping kids in the state because they're so excited about it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We will now move into our decision items. Each decision item will be voted on individually. Any questions may be directed to the staff presenter. Our first decision, item A, will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill. The final approval of repeal and new rule 300-2-106, extensions and alterations within administrative procedures for academic program review.
All right, thank you, Chair Bolden. I'm really pleased to be up here asking for your final approval of this new rule related to extensions and alterations. It's been a little bit of a long time coming. As far as how the commission staff manages business with our institutions related to new certificate programs and also new concentrations. Things have been a little bit unclear, and the new policies are really intended to bring forward definitions, clarity, greater structure in the policy, and that will allow us to provide better service to the institutions, clearer guidance, and let them hopefully be able to innovate more with their programs. So as far as how this might affect the business of the commission in the future, you probably won't see it as much. It's still gonna largely be contained within our information items. And so you'll still see new credentials, new certificates coming up through the information items, changes to the inventory. But it will certainly make our interactions with institutions, I think, much more fruitful, and will allow them not to have to duplicate effort with their accreditors and other entities that they report to. So with that, and here's the structure of the new policy, and you all have seen the changes all along the way, but the idea is that we would use this new structure to provide greater guidance and show the institutions, here's if you're trying to do this, here's how you do it, that sort of thing. And with that, staff is recommending approval, final approval of the policies, which will allow us to notify Legislative Services Agency and then make these new regulations effective by the end of next month.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to accept the staff recommendation.
So,
Second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The final approval of repeal and new rule is approved. The next decision, item B, academic programs, will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill. These decision items will be voted on individually. Any questions may be directed to the staff presenter. The first program will be from Athens State University, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater.
Okay, thank you, Chair Bolden. And we do have a representative from Athens State here if you all have any questions. The program they are bringing forward is a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater, and this program is intended to replace an existing offering, which is a Bachelor of Arts in Drama and Theater Arts. The BFA, of course, will have more of that fine arts preparation, and largely that also means specialized accreditation for the program through the National Association of Schools of Theater, or NAST. Athens State is planning to deliver quite a bit of the curriculum for this, including 14 new courses at their facility, the Alabama Center for the Arts, which is located in Decatur. I see Commissioner Welch is nodding his head. And that facility is open pretty recently. It also includes Calhoun Community College in partnership. And so Athens is proposing tracks that would allow students from Calhoun to enter seamlessly into the program. There are 4 concentrations being proposed, one in performance, one in production, design, and technology, another in musical theater, and the final in theater education in partnership with the College of Education. Those individuals will also be certified to teach in K-12. So there are some minor new costs for the program, but because there are existing facilities and resources, the costs are pretty low. And there's one expenditure for part-time adjunct faculty, and also for that specialized accreditation. There are letters of support for the program, and staff is also recommending approval.
All right, thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. The second program will be from Auburn University, Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence Engineering.
Thank you, Chair Bolden. And so this one's certainly relevant based on the convening that we had up in Huntsville last week that we heard about earlier. Many of the program faculty from Auburn were there. One of them, I should mention, is also on the state's AI task force. So Auburn is leading in this space, and they are bringing forward out of their College of Engineering, Department of Computer Science and Software Engineering, this Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence Engineering. The program will not require new resources to deliver because Auburn already has quite a depth of offerings and faculty in their department. But it will bring a greater focus for existing coursework. And the existing offerings, computer science and data science and cybersecurity will still go on. But some of the courses that are around machine learning, language processing, big data sets will be incorporated into the new program as core coursework, and then students will select technical courses that enhance their training. You all may remember at the last meeting, we saw a Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence come up from Auburn University at Montgomery. This program is a little bit different insofar as it is more technically focused. Auburn University Montgomery's program was based out of the College of Business, and was a lot of the coursework was about the applications of AI for business analytics, and was very hands-on and practical focused. This one is more about developing new AIs, and I won't say it, it does certainly have practical aspects, but those are very technical in the programming areas. With that being said, staff is recommending approval for this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So,
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. Aye. And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. The third program will be from the University of West Alabama, Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering Technology.
Right, thank you. And I'll mention briefly that this program and the one following it are related to each other. Both of the programs, this one, the Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering Technology, and the next one, the Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering Technology, are being developed out of the existing program that the University of West Alabama has, and they have a whole crew here to answer any questions should you all have any. But the existing program is more general. It's a Bachelor of Science in Engineering Technology. And the university found in working with its employers in the West Alabama region and across the state that employers were wanting more specific training for the students, that students coming out of the general engineering technology were not able to be hired for jobs that were more focused within specific engineering competencies. And so the request was made by their advisory board to develop 2 more specific programs. And those are the 2 that you see here first. So for the Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering Technology, UWA is going to be developing 5 new courses. They are planning to hire 1 new faculty member with a background in electrical engineering or computer engineering. They do also need some investment in equipment and facilities, and they are planning to pursue specialized accreditation through the Accreditation Board of Engineering Technology, through the Engineering Technology Subcommittee, which is separate from the Engineering Subcommittee. So this was something that came up from reviewers, making sure that we were aware of the differences there. This program will require very modest reallocations for the institution in years 1 and 2 to support startup for the program. That's about $28,000. And after that, the program will be self-sustaining. We did receive 14 letters of support from employers and advisory council members, and staff is recommending approval for this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. The next program from the University of West Alabama, the Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering Technology.
Thank you. And as I mentioned, this is a partner to the Electrical Engineering Technology Program. It also will go through specialized accreditation. And I didn't mention, but should mention that both of the programs do have additional post-implementation condition that they are successful in getting that specialized accreditation that helps the graduates be able to get their jobs and work with the companies in those more specialized technician and engineering areas. This mechanical engineering program has 2 new courses, but it will not require any additional faculty, only some startup costs for equipment, facilities, and accreditation. And therefore, it will be self-sustaining from the inception of the program. And staff is recommending approval for this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. And all opposed, like sign. Program is approved. The last program from the University of West Alabama, Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science in Creative Arts Enterprise.
Thank you. So this BA, BS, so students would choose one track or the other depending on their general ed coursework, is in Creative Arts Enterprise. And this is intended as update, revision, and consolidation of existing offerings of the University of West Alabama. There are 2 majors that are also slated at this meeting to be closed, and students, any new students coming to the university would enroll in this program, the Creative Arts Enterprise. So the 2 majors that are kind of being rolled in with this one are the music major and interdisciplinary arts major. UWA also does offer minor coursework in music, art, theater, creative writing, communications, and animation. Students taking Arts Enterprise would select upper division coursework from a field of interest from those minor fields. The required coursework is not going to be any new offerings, but for this particular major, it will be focused on that enterprise, that kind of business area that will include some coursework that have been developed for the nonprofit leadership certificate, and also the integrated marketing and communications, including a work-based learning course on that includes social media for artists to promote themselves, businesses that they work for. So there are no new resources required or courses for the program, and staff is recommending approval.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Thank you, Dr. McGill. The 4th program from Lauren B. Wallace Community College will be presented by Ms. Kristen White, Associate of Applied Science and Welding.
Thank you, Chair Bowling. Good morning.
Good morning.
This program will prepare graduates to become skilled welders